Ever feel like you're just spinning your wheels? Like always chasing deadlines and to-dos, but never quite catching up.
Oh, yeah. I think everyone feels that way sometimes.
What if there was a way to break free from that cycle? A way to be truly effective, not just busy?
Well, that's what we're exploring today.
We're diving deep into The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey.
It's a classic for a reason.
Millions of copies sold, countless lives changed. It really is a powerful book. And for those of you who want to absorb these ideas on the go, while you're commuting or working out.
Multitasking, right.
Exactly. Check out our sponsor, Mindful Moments.
They have these amazing AI-narrated summaries.
So you can nourish your mind anytime, anywhere.
I love that. Nourish your mind.
Okay, so let's get into the 7 habits.
You ready to dive in?
Absolutely. Now, this book isn't about some quick fix or, some superficial tricks.
Oh, it's much deeper than that.
It's about fundamental principles, the kind that help you shape your destiny.
And achieve lasting success.
In all areas of life, both personal and professional.
One of the most impactful ideas in the book is the concept of paradigms. You ever thought about that?
Paradigms. Oh, absolutely. They're like mental maps, right?
Exactly. They shape how we see the world.
And how we react to it.
Covey argues that a lot of us are operating with, well, let's just say outdated maps. We're clinging to these beliefs and habits that are holding us back.
We're stuck in old patterns.
He talks about 2 main paradigms: the character ethic and the personality ethic.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
The character ethic, it's all about building inner strength.
Like a solid foundation.
Based on principles. Principles like integrity, honesty, fairness. It's about who you are at your core.
Got it. So it's about being genuine, authentic.
Exactly. And you have the personality ethic. It emphasizes outward techniques.
Okay, like what? Give me an example.
Things like communication skills or positive thinking.
So it's more about appearances. It's about how you appear to others. Covey argues that true effectiveness and ultimately happiness, they flow from a deep commitment to the character ethic.
So it's about working on the inside first.
It is. It's like, imagine you're trying to navigate Chicago, but you're using a map of Detroit.
You'd be lost.
You might get somewhere,
Yeah,
but it's not going to be where you intended to go. Lasting success, it starts from the inside out.
that's a great analogy. So how do we build that strong inner foundation?
That brings us to another key concept, the principle of effectiveness, or what Covey calls the PPC balance.
Okay, break that down for me.
Think of it like the story of the goose that lays golden eggs.
I love that story.
The golden eggs, those represent the desired results, the production, P, but the goose itself, that's your production capability, PC.
So the goose is like our skills and abilities.
Exactly. It's your health, your relationships, everything that allows you to produce those golden eggs.
Makes sense.
But here's the thing. So many of us focus only on the golden eggs, on hitting those targets, and we forget about the goose.
We neglect our well-being.
We burn ourselves out, we neglect our relationships, and then what happens?
We can't produce anymore.
Our ability to achieve those goals, to produce those golden eggs, it diminishes.
So we need to take care of the goose.
We have to invest in ourselves, in our well-being, in our relationships.
That's sustainable success.
Exactly. And that's a concept that applies to every area of life.
Work, family, everything.
Covey also introduces this idea of a maturity continuum.
A continuum, like a spectrum.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It goes from dependence to independence to interdependence.
We all start out dependent, right? As children.
Right. And then as we mature, we strive for independence.
We want to be self-reliant.
But Covey argues that true effectiveness lies in interdependence.
Interdependence. So it's not just about being independent.
It's recognizing that we can achieve so much more when we work together.
When we collaborate and leverage each other's strengths.
When we value diverse perspectives. It doesn't mean we become reliant on others.
Or that we lose our independence.
No. It's about choosing to collaborate, knowing that we can accomplish more together.
That makes a lot of sense. So where do the 7 habits fit into all of this?
They provide a framework for moving along that continuum, from dependence to interdependence.
And ultimately becoming truly effective.
Exactly. So let's start with habit 1. Be proactive. It's about recognizing that we have the power to choose our response to any situation.
We're not just reacting to circumstances.
Covey introduces the circles of concern and influence.
Okay, I'm listening.
The circle of concern,
Yeah.
that includes everything we might worry about.
Everything.
The economy, politics, the weather. It can feel vast and overwhelming.
It can be paralyzing.
But then there's the circle of influence. It's smaller, It contains the things we can actually control.
Our own actions.
Our thoughts, actions, attitudes. Being proactive means shifting our focus from that big circle of concern to the circle of influence.
So we stop worrying about things we can't change.
And we concentrate on what we can impact.
We take control.
Covey shares this really powerful story about Viktor Frankl.
Oh, I've heard of him. The psychiatrist who survived the Nazi concentration camps.
Yes. Frankl observed that even in those horrific circumstances, people still had the power to choose their response.
That's incredible.
They could choose their attitude, their outlook.
Right.
And that choice, it made all the difference.
It's a reminder that we always have a choice.
No matter what challenges we face, we have the freedom to choose how we respond.
And that shapes our reality.
It does. Now, let's move on to habit 2. Begin with the end in mind. This one is all about vision and purpose.
Having a clear direction.
It's about creating a mental blueprint for our lives before we start building.
I like that, a mental blueprint.
Covey believes that everything is created twice. First in the mind.
And then in the physical world.
Think about building a house.
Okay, I'm visualizing it.
You would just start laying bricks without a plan, would you?
Definitely not. You need a blueprint.
That blueprint guides the whole process. It's the same with our lives. We need to define our values, our goals, our aspirations.
Create our own personal mission statement.
Exactly. Before we can effectively navigate life's complexities, having that clear vision, it gives us direction.
Keeps us on track.
It helps us make choices that are aligned with our deepest values.
Otherwise, we just get swept away by the current.
Without that vision, we end up just reacting to whatever comes our way instead of proactively shaping our destiny. So we've built that inner foundation. We've defined our vision.
Yeah, how do we put those principles into action?
That's where habit 3 comes in. Put first things first.
Prioritization.
It's about time management, but it's deeper than that.
I'm ready.
Covey introduces something called the time management matrix.
A matrix. Sounds complicated.
It's actually a really powerful tool. It helps us understand how we spend our time, where our priorities really lie.
Okay, I'm curious. Tell me more about this matrix.
It divides our activities into 4 quadrants.
4 quadrants. Okay.
Urgent, important, not urgent, important, urgent, not important, and not urgent, not important.
So we categorize everything we do into one of those 4 boxes.
It's easy to get stuck in that urgent, important quadrant, constantly putting out fires, feeling productive, but ultimately just stressed and reactive.
Been there.
But the key to true effectiveness, it lies in dedicating time to the not urgent, important quadrant.
That's the stuff we tend to put off.
This is where we focus on those proactive activities. Planning, relationship building, personal development. They might not feel urgent, but they prevent crises down the road.
So it's about working smarter, not just harder.
They reduce stress and create that long-term effectiveness.
That's about investing in the goose, right?
You got it. To make sure we can keep producing those golden eggs. But to do that, to make time for those quadrant 2 activities, we have to be willing to say no to some things.
To the unimportant stuff.
Especially those things in the urgent, not important quadrant.
Learning to say no is a superpower.
Covey talks about the importance of weekly planning, of organizing our time around our key roles and goals, making sure our activities line up with our mission statement.
So it all ties together.
It's about moving from that reactive mindset to a proactive one.
Taking control of our schedule.
And focusing our energy on the things that truly matter.
The things that align with our values and goals.
Now, those first 3 habits, those are the foundation of personal effectiveness.
The groundwork.
But to achieve true success in life, we need to master the art of interdependence.
Working with others effectively.
And that's where the next 3 habits come in. But before we get into those, Covey introduces this brilliant metaphor, the emotional bank account.
Okay, I like where this is going. Emotional bank account.
It's a brilliant way to understand trust in relationship.
I'm all ears.
Just like a financial bank account, we make deposits and withdrawals in our relationships.
Interesting. So how do we make deposits?
We show kindness, we keep commitments, we're honest, we genuinely listen.
Those are all trust builders.
And those deposits, they build a reserve of trust.
A safety net.
When that emotional bank account is full, communication flows easily, we can weather disagreements, mistakes happen, but the relationship is strong enough to handle it.
Makes sense. But what about withdrawals?
Those happen when we break promises, when we're disrespectful, inconsiderate.
That erodes trust.
The relationship suffers.
The account gets depleted.
This metaphor, it just highlights the importance of consistently investing in our relationships. just like we have to with our finances.
It's about making those regular deposits.
With that foundation of the emotional bank account, we can start to understand the power of habit 4. Think win-win.
Win-win. Everyone wants that.
It's about shifting from a competitive mindset to a collaborative one.
From me versus you to us.
It's about seeking solutions that are mutually beneficial.
So everyone feels good about the outcome.
Win-win isn't about compromise. It's not about one person getting their way. It's about finding solutions where everyone feels like they've gained something.
I like that, finding common ground.
It requires us to move away from a scarcity mindset. That belief that there's only so much to go around.
Like a pie that has to be divided.
And we have to embrace an abundance mentality.
Abundance mentality. So there's enough for everyone.
There's enough success, happiness, opportunity for everyone.
That's a powerful shift in perspective. But what about those people who are determined to win at all costs? The ones who always have to be right.
That's where building that strong emotional bank account comes in.
Makes sense. You've already established trust.
Even in those situations, if you invest in the relationship, you listen empathetically, try to understand their perspective.
You can often shift their thinking.
It allows you to influence them towards a more collaborative approach.
Yeah.
Now, of course, there might be times when you have to walk away.
If there's no way to find a win-win.
If it's truly a win-lose situation. But approaching every interaction with the intention of finding a win-win solution, that should always be your guiding principle.
Start with that intention.
Covey also talks about the importance of win-win agreements.
Agreements. What do you mean by that?
These are clear expectations and goals that are mutually agreed upon. They benefit everyone involved.
So everyone is on the same page.
These agreements, they provide clarity, accountability, and that shared vision for success.
That's a great foundation for any collaboration.
Now, we're getting to what might be the most challenging habit, but also the most rewarding.
Oh, which one is that?
Habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Yeah, that one's tough.
It's about moving beyond that natural tendency we all have, to just rush in with solutions.
Before we've even really heard the problem.
Exactly. And to truly listen with empathy.
It's so easy to fall into that trap.
Thinking we already know what the other person's going to say.
Or jumping in with advice before we even understand their perspective.
Covey encourages us to slow down, to engage in what he calls empathic listening.
Empathic listening. So it's more than just hearing the words.
It's about really stepping into the other person's shoes.
Seeing the world through their eyes.
Understanding their feelings, their needs. It takes effort.
It does. You have to set aside your own biases, your own judgments.
To create that safe space for open and honest communication.
Because when someone feels truly understood,
they become much more receptive
to hearing our perspective.
It's about investing that time and effort to understand first.
Before we try to make our point.
And then, when it is our turn to be understood,
we have to communicate clearly,
respectfully, assertively.
Express our thoughts and feelings honestly.
But still be considerate of the other person's perspective. It's a delicate balance.
It is, but so important.
Now, habit 6, synergize. This one builds on that foundation of understanding and collaboration.
Taking it to a new level.
It takes us to a whole new level of creativity and innovation.
Synergy. That's when the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, right?
Exactly. It's about valuing those differences.
Recognizing that everyone brings something unique to the table.
Unique strengths, unique perspectives.
And when we embrace those differences and we work together with respect,
we can achieve amazing things.
Things that none of us could have accomplished on our own.
Think about a brainstorming session where everyone feels safe to share their ideas.
Even the crazy ones.
Even the unconventional ones.
You never know where the next breakthrough will come from.
You build on each other's ideas.
And suddenly you've sparked something truly innovative.
Synergy isn't about compromising.
It's not about finding that middle ground.
It's about creating something new, something better through that collaboration.
But to get to that point, to achieve true synergy,
you need a high level of trust.
Openness, that strong emotional bank account we were talking about.
You have to feel secure enough to be vulnerable, to share your ideas without fear of judgment.
And be open to perspectives that challenge your own.
That's not always easy.
It's not.
But it's worth it.
Now, we've covered the 6 habits of effectiveness.
From personal mastery to interpersonal leadership, synergy, it's a lot to take in. But there's one crucial habit that ties everything together.
The final piece of the puzzle.
Habit 7. Sharpen the saw.
Sharpen the saw. I like that. Sounds intriguing.
It's the habit of continuous improvement.
Always striving to be better.
Renewal. Covey emphasizes the importance of renewing ourselves in 4 key dimensions: physical, spiritual, mental, and social-emotional.
4 dimensions. So it's a holistic approach.
It is. The physical dimension, that's about taking care of our bodies.
Exercise, nutrition, sleep.
Stress management, all of that.
The basics.
Yeah.
But so easy to neglect.
The spiritual dimension, that's about connecting with our core values.
Finding that meaning and purpose in life.
Nurturing our inner selves.
It's about taking care of our souls.
And then there's the mental dimension, expanding our minds through reading, learning, engaging in stimulating activities.
Keep learning, keep growing.
And finally, the social-emotional dimension.
Our relationships with others.
Building healthy relationships, developing empathy, seeking those win-win solutions.
It all connects.
If you neglect any of these dimensions,
You're not going to be as effective.
it'll limit your effectiveness in all areas of life. It's like, imagine trying to run a marathon without training or without proper fuel.
You might start strong, but you'll burn out quickly.
You won't reach your full potential.
So how do we make sure we're sharpening the saw?
Covey suggests dedicating at least an hour each day.
An hour? That's a significant chunk of time.
It is, but it's an investment to renewing ourselves in those physical, spiritual, and mental dimensions.
He calls it the daily private victory.
It's a powerful way to invest in that PPC balance, to sharpen the saw so we can keep producing those golden eggs. It's about creating a sustainable rhythm,
Of self-care and continuous improvement.
recognizing that we can't effectively lead others if we're not taking care of ourselves first.
Lead from a place of strength.
Covey also talks about the importance of aligning our lives with our conscience, that inner voice that guides us toward what's right.
Our moral compass.
It's about living with integrity, making choices that are in harmony with our deepest values, and really striving to be our best selves. It really does all come back around, doesn't it?
It does. You start with personal growth, then you move to those interpersonal skills.
And then the win-win solutions. It's like an upward spiral.
Leading to greater effectiveness.
Greater happiness and fulfillment.
It all builds on itself.
The 7 habits of highly effective people really is a treasure trove of wisdom. And it's practical. There's so much advice you can actually put into action.
It's not just theory.
We've only just skimmed the surface here
Yeah.
in this deep dive. But I hope we've given you a sense of, the power of these principles.
How they can transform your life.
Think about what really resonated with you today.
What stood out?
What habit offers the most potential for growth in your life?
Maybe it's writing that personal mission statement.
Maybe it's finally starting to schedule time for those quadrant 2 activities.
Or realizing how important it is to really nurture your relationships.
Or to approach things with that win-win mindset.
Whatever it is, take that first step.
Don't just let these ideas float around in your head.
Put them into practice.
See the difference they can make. Experience it for yourself.
And if you want to dive deeper into these principles, I highly recommend picking up a copy of The 7 Habits.
We've got a link in the show notes where you can easily grab a copy.
And for those of you who want a quick but insightful overview of this book,
And other books that can empower you.
be sure to subscribe to Mindful Moments.
They're AI-narrated summaries. They let you nourish your mind on the go.
Anytime, anywhere.
Now, don't keep this knowledge to yourself.
Share this deep dive.
Tell your friends, your family, anyone who might benefit from these ideas.
Spread those principles of effectiveness.
Help create positive change. It's a ripple effect, right?
Absolutely. The more we strive to live by these principles,
The more we contribute to a better world.
a world with more understanding.
More collaboration and lasting success.
Keep learning.
Keep growing.
Keep striving to be the best version of yourself.
Because that journey to effectiveness, it's ongoing. And we're all in this together.